Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're having an awesome day. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've just got my voice back the last probably 3 or 4 days. I've been unable to talk at all, so I haven't been pumping out any videos. But what we'll do is do a 6-month roster review. It's 6 months since the start of the game. Everyone, round of applause. Congratulations. We started this journey 6 months ago, and we're still here, alive and kicking. And what we'll do is do like a 6-month roster review, see what we've achieved with our roster, what we can do with it. Quick shout out as well. We've done a couple of guides. If you need help with Pirates Domain or any of these activities, even the Stage 5 boss battles, completely free to play. I'll leave links up the top throughout the video, and you can go to those and, really get the start spiking your power if you need. And I just want to also just quickly, before we start, big thank you to everyone that watches, everyone that likes, everyone that comments. Really keep this, the reason I keep doing it is because I know it helps you all, and, the feedback's awesome. I love the community. So without all that sappy stuff out of the way, let's get into it. As always, timestamps down below. We'll break them up by elements. So we'll start with air, we'll finish off with special, and then we'll do some summons at the end. See if we get any luck with the Warden's Tower, because we have not had any at all. Alrighty, so first off is our last airbender, Aang. Definitely level this boy up. Very easy to get these skill level coins. Has knockdown capability, has a cheat death mechanic, scales on speed. Just useful in all aspects of the game. You can plug him into almost any team, and he'll do alright on his own. So definitely level this boy up. Next, Avatar State Aang, if you want, go for it. He's not super useful, I don't find. I find the cheat death mechanic is way more valuable than being able to deal with elemental effects more effectively. I feel that's not really a big point because of our next boy. Kelsang, if you have that Guardian stance, all of your allies are immune to any debuffs or elemental effects, which is why I don't like the other Aang, like I said before. Knockdown capabilities, can heal, boost turn bar, and again, immune to any basically negative effects. You want this boy in your team as soon as possible. Yatso, I like using him. I just haven't used him a lot. He increases speed and accuracy, and he does a lot of stuff with air nomads. So maybe a bit more down the line when we get a couple more air nomads in the new update, we might find a team for him, a new home for him. But until then, I still have fun with him, I will say that. But ever since I fully mastered him, I haven't used him that lot. Airbending Youth, not worth the 20 coins in the store. If he ever goes for 10, definitely worth getting at least one copy. You can solo the Unagi if you have Mastery level 2 on his basic. Just needs a better, in my opinion, needs a better passive. If you go against enemies that don't do anything with their elements, then this passive is completely useless. Maybe do something like when he gains skill nullifier, give him 10% stacking attack or something like that. Just something, a little something, just to make him a little bit better at, being an offense unit. And last airbender defense, Aang, I don't know what to tell you. I don't use him. Yes, I have all of these characters maxed out and fully mastered, but that's just because I like going from left to right, leveling up characters and stuff. If you have a stance team, kind of like your Kyoshi Warriors, and you need an airbender for whatever reason, you could throw him in and he can do stuff. But other than that, there's not really a lot of use I find for him. Oh boy, we're already jumping into the Earthbenders. This is a big group here. Avatar Kyoshi, I love using her. I still use her in the arena today. Justice set is Bay. I use her advanced skills, basically a turn 1 nuke. I knock out the enemy in 1 turn. I don't think I've ever had to deal with someone after hitting them with that, unless they've had like an invincibility mechanic or a cheat death mechanic. Has a good revenge stat. Very high defense scaling. Tribute to the Avatar is still broken on her, so if you have that, definitely use it. Xinfu, I definitely remember this from the old meta. It was still very good. I still actually don't mind him today. The bounty mechanic is really cool. Heal blocking on the Boomy boss fight is very helpful, and any just annoying units in arena, I still use him. Hunters, if they add another hunter to the thing so that we have 4 hunters on the team, then I think we'll have a team idea for him then. But until then, still a decent earthbender, buffs his own defense, does heal block, always nice. Bo Chin, my goodness, everyone's been talking about Bo Chin like the last week since the Warden come out with the Warden's Tower. I've been talking about Bo Chin for like 3 months, saying that he's an excellent character. Gives him sub-fortified stance at the start of battle, which means when an enemy hits him, it's going to be just a weak hit. He's going to brush it off. His advanced skill is going to heal him, increase his defense, which isn't really super helpful now. But on top of that, his Mastery level 2 is going to increase any damage that all of your allies do if Bo Chin is in the front line. If he's leading the charge, everyone behind him is going to be doing a lot more damage. So you definitely want him there. It's going to be super helpful. Earth Kingdom and Mastery Soldier, I really like using him. He's actually got a really good kit. Really deals with your frontline and regen units. The fact also if he gets called into a combo, he gets Echo, and which means he can just take constant turns, and it always seems to proc with him. I don't know why. My goodness, very high damage output. Probably not worth 20 coins. If I ever say anything about coins, wait until they go on discount for 10 coins and then buy at least one copy. Earth Kingdom Soldier, you get him for free, and that's excellent. The fact that his basic does Earth Element on the enemy, you build him with a bit of counter. Whenever they hit him, he's going to give himself regen and everyone around him regen. He's going to give himself barrier. He'll go into horse stance, which means he's going to take less damage, and then he keeps countering the enemy and bumping up those Earth Element debuffs, which means you can get stuns, you can push back turn bar, you can do all this stuff. He becomes a real menace if you let him build up to that point. Earth Kingdom Kyoshi, I don't really use her that much. I feel she's a bit too contained. She needs to be in a Team Kyoshi team, so like Yun, Kelsang, and Rangi, for example. You need to have a Team Kyoshi team built around her. That's how her passive basically gets all its power from. Force of Earth is still very fun. Do a big AoE, Fearful State, lower their attack, and then increase any damage they take, which is really nice. Kind of like a support offense unit, if that makes any sense. And on top of that, she can also inflict bleed with her basic, which means they can't heal. So, you know, wound them and make sure that they know it. Blind Bandit Toph, probably the only reason I was carried so hard early game in early like months of Avatar Generations. Basically, any AoEs that hit her, she's going to gain stacking, attack, and accuracy, which they buffed, which I don't understand because it was already just crazy nutso damage that she had, and then they buffed it. Boulder, I unlocked him and fully maxed him when he was cheap, and that's how I would suggest you do it. I've always said that. Very good. Goes through a victorious stance when an enemy is defeated. If he knocks down an enemy, he will then gain an extra turn, reset his cooldown, and then this landslide victory. If you get his mastery maxed out, he starts doing insane damage with it. Prisoner Tyro is probably my next unit I'm going to start focusing and getting this mastery on. The fact that he gives fire block to any ally, which means they're going to take less damage from fire element enemies. It's going to be really helpful, I think, in future content, especially with like raids and stuff they were teasing. So I really want to get that fire block and get that invincibility, unlocked on him and get that going. Next up is Zhen Chu. I don't actually use him that much really now. He does consistently crit on all of his abilities, which is really nice. The fact that he also has Price of Progress will constantly gain that extra turn whenever he does hits an enemy with a crit. He does AoE, so it's 4 chances for it to proc, basically. On top of that, his basic ability can basically ignore tenacity, immunity, and skill nullifier and inflict stun on the enemy. So if they start trying to, you know, tank some hits, too bad, stunned, and then you focus in, really knock them out. Has a cheat death mechanic, which is nice as well, but it's a lot of hoops to jump through, so I don't really talk about it. Prisoner Haru are the current unit I'm working on getting the mastery for. I just think he's a lot more fun to play than the other one. If you start hitting his allies, he's going to get really ticked off, build up that rage. If you start knocking out units, he can heal himself, which is going to be crazy. He can inflict blind. He hits does swift damage on his basic attack, and it does like 3 hits. It's going to be high damage output, I reckon. So really fun to use right now. I've had a lot of fun with him. Trial Boss Boomy, I haven't used him in a hot minute. Does a lot of decent stuff, building with a bit of health. It makes him really tanky. All of his attacks scale off his health, so he'll do extra damage. Can increase his crit damage if he starts knocking out those imbalanced states on the enemy. They get knocked down. He'll go into his neutral Jing, increase health and crit damage. It's a very good cyclical kit that I like to use, but I haven't used him in a while, I'm not going to lie. Especially with Kelsang running around an arena at the moment. Avatar Yun, haven't used him in a while, not going to lie. Just like Boomy, really. I think the real problem, though, is that you need to have a high skill level on him, and that's why I don't use him a lot, because you kind of need that extra chance to get that extra turn, so that you can kind of really utilize his kit a little bit better. But all in all, still a decent unit. Throw on tribute to the Avatar, and it becomes a menace to deal with on the enemy team. Tyro, I think, is a very fun unit to use. He can protect a unit. He's, you know, I'm biased to tank units, but he can protect a unit, heal them, make sure they're still alive, inflict Earth Element on the enemy, always fun. All in all, I would use him if you have very weak units on the team, especially like, say, like a Rangi or like a low health, high attack unit in the back. Use this. He's going to protect them, make sure they stay alive in the fight long enough to start popping off, you know. And Earth Kingdom Haru, other than leveling him up, I haven't really used him. I've been leveling up my Prisoner Haru at the moment. So once I do that, I'll probably work on Earth Kingdom Haru. I feel like he's built for arena. He has a lot of like focus manipulation, so that you can, you know, take enemies can't call in combos and stuff like that. I feel like that's more like an arena focus than a PvE focus. But if you, either way, still pretty fun to use, can do some cool stuff. Doesn't power damage as well, and he can give himself buffs, which is really nice. Heating things up in the Fire Nation, we've got Captain Masaru, very good at taking down high defense units. You know, I can usually knock out an Avatar Kyoshi in one shot with him. Can do that rank 2 fire element, follow up with his basic. He's going to give himself invincibility, which is going to shore up pretty much his only weakness, being essentially a glass cannon. If he gets invincibility, not really a problem, is it? Moonslayer Xiao, the new meta-defining unit, my goodness, does a lot of really cool stuff. The Red Moon ability that he does on his passive ability whenever he knocks out a unit, he basically becomes invincible or unkillable. No one can knock him out until that Red Moon debuff is cleansed off all of the enemies. That's all of the enemies, so if you have a slow unit or something like that, won't matter. And that usually in those turns that it takes, if you have him maxed out like I do, in the time it takes for it to tick down, you will whittle them down enough that you're going to get another knockout and refresh that Red Moon. So very annoying to deal with is Moonslayer Xiao. Jailer Juro, I actually really like this boy. The fact that his contingent stance is just going to increase the max health of everyone. You put him on a team with units that utilize max health, you know, Boomy, for example. It's going to, I think there's actually kind of like weird teams you can do with that. And he can do that, and it's going to be really funny to see. All in all, very good with his brother, Goro, which we'll talk about in the special element when we get there. But all in all, I've had a lot of fun with him, at least, leveling him up and using him in Arena. I've just got to get his mastery up, and then he'll be a force to be reckoned with. Commander Xiao, ever since I got Moonslayer Xiao, I haven't used him. I just can't get him to work. I feel like he needs to be skill level 6, just to guarantee that crit rate up on everyone. There's a couple of units that you can build with him, and he can do some stuff, but until I get to that point, all in all, I haven't leveled him up. I've got him to level 60, fully mastered. Ever since then, I haven't touched him since Moonslayer Xiao came out, basically. Agni Kai Zuko, I will say I've changed my opinion on recently. He's actually really fun to use. I think the most confusing thing about him is that he has this little combo system on his passive ability, where as you do like attack advanced basic or basic and all that kind of stuff, he gets buffs and all that, which is really cool concept. But I think that probably throws a lot of people off. On top of that, Fire Nation Zuko is probably the best Zuko to be leveling up anyway. But if you have Agni Kai Zuko, it can still be a lot of fun, especially when I was getting his mastery up in Arena. Oh, it was so much fun using him. Next up is our Fifth Nation Pirate. I haven't used him in a while, I'm not gonna lie to you. Ever since that whole like Kyoshi arc where we had Tagaka and all that coming out, I haven't really used him that much. Gives himself skill nullifier, which is really cool. Can build up that focus generation pretty fast, and the attack based on speed. Building with a lot of speed, gets out first. Turn bar, you see where I'm going. Invader Zuko, I had a lot of fun when I was doing the Hunter video in the arena, and I was using this boy. The fact that his mastery is really cool as well just makes me a little sad that he's not super useful yet in the game. Becoming immune to all immobilizing effects and then having this charging state where he basically has 300% attack for 2 turns. I just wish that they would utilize that a little bit more, or that he would stay alive a little bit longer so that you can get that going. Next up, we've got Big Daddy Iroh, very good free-to-play tank unit, especially at the start. Even then, I still see him in pretty, you know, decently high arena at the moment. Can take that turn meter away, very good at healing, very good at keeping debuffs down on your allies and stuff. Yeah, if you have him, definitely level him up. Agni Kai Xiao, sometimes I forget that there's Xiao's in the game, and then there are other times where I use him and I forget he's an offense unit. I feel like he's just kind of like that hidden gem. He can do a lot of damage, does that rank 2 fire element on the enemy, which is nice. And then on top of that, his mastery basically is like, if you hit anyone with a rank 2 fire element, you get all of these extra bonuses. So it's really fun to utilize him there. Moto Rider Zuko, I have, as you can see, I've started using him. Very good provoke unit if you need a Fire Nation provoker, like taunting tank. Very good. Has a reflex mechanic as well, which is really cool. I haven't used him a lot, so I don't want to really harp on him too much. But Hunter as well, if you want to build him for that, also useful. Colonel Monk, if there are a lot of buffs, or if we ever get into a point where in the meta it's going to be a lot of buffs on the enemy, you want to build this boy up. Immolation damage is going to dispel all those buffs and then give them a fire element, which is going to be really nice, really tick down that health as well, which will be really cool to see. Fire Nation Rangi, I feel like, is like Zuko 2.0, a lot of people have said. She has a 1-2-3 punch on her advanced skill, inflicts a fire element on the enemy, either a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or all of them, which usually happens, which is just amazing. And then her basic attack, if she hits the frontline unit, that's going to hit everyone on the team. Gives herself a damage increase as well. Pretty much the very definition of a glass cannon, basically, in the game is Rangi right now. Next up is Fire Nation Masked Soldier, Flamio Hotman himself. Skill level 6, don't worry about that. Not everyone has that. But as you can see, I've put a little bit of effort into him. I want to see him be useful. I feel like that the Masked Soldier is pretty iconic in the Avatar universe, so I wish he would be a bit more useful. But all in all, it increases his damage, goes in that charging state. Unfortunately, he will miss his turn when he does do in that charging state, but if he ever does follow up with that attack, it's going to hit really hard, which is going to be really nice to see. Dragon Dancer Zuko, if I had Peace Aang, I could probably say a lot more about him. I think it's pretty fun to use still. I feel like you do need to have an air element on the team, and you do need to call the assist in with them for his mastery to kind of be utilized. But all in all, still pretty fun. Inner Flame is a really cool mechanic. I really want to get his skill level up so that I can get 2 charges of it at a time. That'll be a lot of damage output coming to the enemy's way. Mounted Soldier, I haven't really used him that much since I unlocked him. He does give crit damage up, so I feel like he kind of should be on a team with Commander Zhao. I just haven't found the other 2 units that would go in with that. It can decrease any debuffs on him if he has any debuffs on him. If he does his basic attack, it'll reduce that by 1, and then it'll take that other turn off. So it's basically a 2-turn reduce in any debuffs, which is really cool. I haven't used him that much because I haven't used Zhao that much. If I ever use Zhao, I'll throw this boy in, absolutely. Warden, I am not going to lie, haven't used him. I know he gives invincibility to the highest attack, and that's about it. I do want to use him. Impact damage on his basic is pretty cool as well. But, you know, I've been sick, so I haven't been able to use him, unfortunately. So, fingers crossed I can get some testing going, and we'll pump out a video, hopefully showing the full might of the Fire Nation with him. Zhong, I'm now replacing his title with the Deserter with Annoying Tank. People put him in the front zone, and because he goes in that Vanish state, he can't get hit. And then he does Meditate, increases resistance, still can't get hit. If you have like Rangi in the back, for example, she's going to be pumping out all these punches at you, and you can't hit her because Zhong is at the front. That is how strong he is. He also gives defense up now, which I think was actually a nice, it was like a small change you don't really notice. But then it's like, oh, that's nice. I got defense up. That's pretty cool. So always really cool to see there. And last but not least, Fire Nation Zuko. Don't worry about the arts there. If you have this unit, I would say level up your last Airbender Aang first, then level up your Fire Nation Zuko. He has a cheat death mechanic, which is nice. He's very high burst damage, which is also very nice. He's pretty consistent damage output. If he gets knocked down to 1, the cheat death mechanic, he's going to do a spin kick. He's going to hit everyone, do some damage, and then he'll gain turn meter, come out and do another hit. He starts like popping off really heavy if you hit him too early. And on top of that, he can basically solo all the content in the game, early game, you know, Pirates Domain, Training Grounds, arts elements, all that kind of stuff. He can solo all that pretty early on so that you can get the 3 stars and then use the skip tickets to get all the extra bonuses there, which is nice. Next up, we have our 5th Nation, Tally Richtulg, the first of the Wet Bandits. And I don't know what else to really say. I kind of harped on him in the Red Coin video when I was talking about it. He has very good damage, very good durability, very good sustainability. You know, he can heal himself, buff his defense, goes to that covering stance, does more damage. If you have him, level him up, he's going to be super useful. Next up is Pirate Queen Tagaka. Kind of like Earth Kingdom Kyoshi, I feel like she is very constrained to either being in a team with pirates or with outlaws. If not, she kind of loses a lot of her usability there. She can build up that water element pretty passively and then give everyone skill nullifier, but she won't get any of the buffs that lets her kind of be the menace on the field that she needs to be if she's not on a team with pirates and outlaws. So that's the only problem I have with her, but all in all, still a fun unit to use. A lot of AoEs, a lot of damage output. Water Tribe, Tank, Katara, very good at soloing the Unagi, can freeze the enemy very consistently, very good at staying alive with all that healing that she can do, has a provoke, which is pretty good early on. So very good defensive unit. I don't use it too much now. Obviously, as you move kind of further on into the game, more units become a bit more, you know, like Tally Richtulg, you know, will probably replace your Katara whenever you get him. So very good unit, just kind of gets outclassed very early on. Moon Spirit UA, I think, is really fun. The fact that she can revive your entire team is really cool. On top of that, gives skill nullifier to everyone. And if you build her certain ways, you can make her a really good healer unit. And if you call her to assist, all of your waterbenders are going to do a lot of damage. Funnily enough, Moon Spirit UA is really good with like a Tagaka, Tally Richtulg, and Kiwok team, let's say. Because the fact is, if you call her into assist, all of your waterbenders do extra damage. So if you have UA, throw in one of those team and you're going to be laughing. Pirate Captain Kiwok, I know a lot of people don't really like her. I actually don't mind her. The fact is she does some cool things. You know, Shadow Tide, when she's in that, she gets knocked out at 1 health, she'll make an ice clone, come back to life essentially, and then come out and start stunning your team with her basic. It becomes a real annoyance from her. That being said, it's kind of like a, you know, last hit of adrenaline. She comes out, does it, and then if she doesn't get that extra turn proc, she gets hit and gets knocked out 1 turn. So, still fun unit to use in my opinion. Bending Master Katara, I have grown to like her a lot more since I've used her with UA. She does a lot of damage and a lot of healing and can actually increase her own turn bar pretty consistently if enemies start getting knocked out. She becomes this real good like attacking unit. If you build up her mastery, she can start taking extra turns when she knocks out units with her advanced skill, and it reduces the cooldown there. As the freeze mechanic on her basic, while it's not ideal, is still pretty good. But it's not as consistent as your tank Katara one. This one I call Defiant Katara because she goes into a Defiant stance. This is the one in the Summon Store. Definitely not worth it. Let me tell you, getting this mastery was oof. Her main thing is that she can go into a Defiant stance, which is like a dodge, and then every 2 turns, she'll gain a little bit of extra turn meter. And that turn meter will then let her take that extra turn. And then she can bring her cooldowns down. You kind of build her with a bit of like maybe tank and attack, and then she'll keep getting turn bar to herself, and then she'll come out, do a freeze on the enemy, go into a Defiant stance, increase her damage, is the idea I think they had with her. I just feel like she doesn't hit nearly as hard as Bending Master Katara or any other units that you would be using instead of her. Bending Master Paku, I have not used him since I fully mastered him, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like I give him a lot of flack because he's only skill level 1. If he had more skill level coins into him, I think he'd be a much more useful unit. But all in all, I don't really find him to be that super useful. There are some people that swear on blue by him, and I just can't seem to get the team to work, at least for me. And lastly, Prisoner Katara, very good at whittling down the enemy's buffs. Has a little mark state thing as well. I have been trying to get her to work with like Pirate Captain Jiang, because she also does a mark state, gets bonuses and stuff with that. So I want to see if I can get that working. But really, I think her main thing is that she does erosion damage, which is going to bring the duration of buffs down by 1. And that's kind of where her, that's her unique kind of gameplay thing there. And then rounding it out, we've got all of our non-menders. First off, we've got Kyoshi Warrior Soccer. I haven't really used him a lot. I just feel like I'm trying to get my other Kyoshi Warriors up and running, and then I'll get Kyoshi Warrior Soccer up. It's really just doing the adventure paths and stuff at the moment with him. Really cool. He's kind of like Kyoshi, does like revenge hits and then gives barrier to people as well, and then can remove stances. So it's pretty cool to see. I just haven't really used him that much. Fifth Nation Pirate, I haven't really used him. I got his mastery up, and then I haven't used him since, really. I feel like he would work pretty well with Tagaka. Tagaka can build up that water element really effectively, get that freeze on the enemy, and then he does extra damage to freeze units. So I can see something happening there. But all in all, if you have the other pirates, you're probably not going to use him that much. Defense, Kyoshi Warrior, I have her fully skilled out. I find she's pretty useful. The regroup is really nice. You know, get that regen on everyone. All your Kyoshi Warriors go into a counter stance, lets them heal and then do some extra damage and stuff. I just need to get this mastery up so we can get that extra damage boost on this level 4 here. And then I think that that'll actually boost the Kyoshi Warriors into becoming kind of a decent arena team. Not meta-defining, but a decent arena team. Next up is Blue Spirit. I kind of like Masaru. I actually didn't really use him that much until I got him to skill level 6, and then I was like, oh, hang on, he's actually pretty good here. All in all, high damage, high speed output. Even saying that he's a glass cannon's wrong, because he goes into a vanish state and he can protect himself for a turn, which is just crazy to think about. But all in all, very good unit. I've actually fallen in love with him recently, and I love it. Arena Soccer, unfortunately, you can't get this boy anymore, at least until they bring him back into the store. I really like him. I think he boosts the Water Tribe in a way that people don't really realize. Giving himself a lot of accuracy and speed means that he gets out a bit earlier, can boost up the turn bar of everyone. He has impact damage on his basic as well, which is kind of nutso. And I was just lucky enough to get him to skill level 6 before he left the store. Offense, Kyoshi Warrior, I find it's a bit too squishy for my liking. She does really utilize damage against units on the side slots. So maybe if Goro and Juro are still sticking around, we can throw this Kyoshi Warrior in, gain a lot of extra turn meter to kind of deal with them. So it'll be interesting to see. But I haven't, other than a Kyoshi Warrior team, I don't really use her. That's the only problem. Jailer Goro, the short boy himself. I can kind of see where his kit's going. I just need to kind of do a bit more testing. I built him like full speed, didn't work. Full tank didn't work. So I'm trying to find a good balance there. The fact that he goes into his volatile stance, he does a lot of counters. He can get a lot of defensive buffs as well, which is nice. I feel like you do need to master him out though to kind of get that real usefulness out of him. But all in all, out of Goro and Juro, I actually like Juro a lot better. I feel like he's a lot more plug and play. But Goro, all in all, still pretty decent unit. I like Spears, so what do you want me to say? Speaking of Spears, oh my goodness, they've resized him. Fire Nation Spear Soldier, as you can tell, I haven't used him for a while. I do like the fact that he does basically 3 hits on his advanced skill, and all 3 of those hits have a chance to stun. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to consistently stun the enemy there if you build him with some accuracy. On top of that, leg sweep, if you hit an enemy, you just reduce their turn bar. It's just like, what? Sure. So it'll be interesting to see how we can utilize him there. Dojo Master, like I said in the Red Coin video, I don't use him. Like, I don't really know where to throw him, what team to use him in. I could probably see maybe an Outlaw or an Exile team. Maybe if I give him Price of Progress, we can see something, but other than that, I don't think I've used Dojo Master in, like, ever since I fully mastered him, I haven't used Dojo Master. Pirate Captain Zhang, I feel like she is a good unit. I just haven't used her enough to kind of get that extra bonus. The mark state's really cool. The fact that you mark a unit, if everyone starts attacking it, she's just going to keep giving herself buffs is really cool. And she does damage based on speed, which is just nice as well. Warpaint Soccer, represent. Look at that beautiful little t-shirt there. All in all, I think he's a fun unit. He's got a really cool kit. I just haven't been able to find a team to utilize him in yet. I feel like if we start getting maybe some Weapon Master relics or something, maybe we can think of something there. But the problem is that there's not really a team you can throw him in at the moment. But all in all, I don't really mind him. I just feel like he's not super useful, you know? Wolf Cove Soccer, Again, I've been leveling up Kyoshi Warrior Soccer, trying to get his mastery up, so I haven't really been using Wolf Cove Soccer. I actually don't mind him. I kind of build him with a lot more health and stuff, just to kind of make sure that he can get those stratagems out on everyone. I feel like he's really good at debuffing the enemy because of that. You might want to build him with more speed, I reckon, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. But all in all, also pretty fun unit. Now that we've got the extra bonuses with Invasion Force, with Haru and Tyro, maybe we can find a team for them there, and it'll be interesting to see. But until then, Wolf Cove Soccer, not very useful. Not very usable by me, I would say. Mind Kyoshi Warrior, very durable unit, very good at knocking out buffs, very good in the Boomy boss fight, actually, can knock out that immunity turn 1, and then if Boomy hits her, she just looks at him like, is that all you got, boy? Really? So it's kind of funny if you think about it, but all in all, other than that, I don't really use it that much. I've pretty much maxed her out at this point. Once I get my defense unit, Kyoshi Warrior, up, then we might see some use out of her. Moving over on to Suki, even though it says that she's a defense unit, can do some pretty decent damage, gives herself increased attack, can stun on her counter attack, which is just nuts. So ever since they've added that, I've seen a vast increase in Suki's in Arena. So it's kind of funny if you think about it. But all in all, pretty fun unit. Again, stun on her mastery is nice. The expulsion damage I feel like is a bit overkill. You know, I think you remove like 3 buffs or something with it. It's just not something I really find useful. And last but not least is our Water Tribe Soccer, the base soccer you get. Of course, we have to finish it with this boy. I think getting that Mastery 4 is very important for him. Start knocking out units. He's just going to start taking extra turns, build up that speed, build up that attack. He has a stun as well, which is just nuts. So kind of just a good all-round attacker unit. Alrighty, and that's my roster. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching. We are going to do our summon, don't worry. Just let me know down below. Before we do that, let me know down below what your favorite unit is. My one is definitely going to be the defense Tyro with the fire block. I just feel like he's going to be super useful in the future. But let's go to our summons. We've got a couple of things to do before my voice gives out yet again. We're going to go to Pity for this My Honored Guests banner and see what we can get. I do have 19 tickets, and then we've got some extra stones here. I need to get a Warden's Tower regardless. I should have put music on and stuff like that, so let's get that. Look at that. Put the music on. And we get a sunset first shot. 6 months down the track, what do we get? We get the Warden's Tower. You know what? I call that a win. That is what I like to see there. A couple of extra relics, which I'm not going to use. And we got 2... What? You're kidding me. We got 2 Warden copies. Oh my goodness. I actually can't believe that. I was sitting there like, I'll go to Pity, I'll get at least 1 Warden copy, that'll be fine. We got 2 Warden copies in that. Oh my goodness, I can definitely feel my voice dying right now. Alright, we're still going to go to pity for it, because if I get a couple copies of that Warden's Tower, I'll be very happy. My goodness, so there you go. That's just proof. Turn on the music in your game, and you'll get double copies of the Warden. It has been proven here today. We're moving into the stones. We always know that stones give you, as I say, going to give you a sunset first shot, but it did not, so that's fine. Enomaglada, yep. What else did we get? Anything super useful here? Not a lot. We did get a Warpaint Soccer. Build up those coins. I have used all my coins, so I do need to build up another stockpile of those for the next cheap unit that comes out. Actually, if I get 10, I need to buy that crane relic, which I think with that Katara, I think that'll be enough for the crane relic. And then, all right, this is the last pull. The last pull for 6 months. We get our another Warden. That's 4 Warden. Oh my goodness. Actually, is that 5? Did I get another copy of the Warden? I will need to check. We'll check. We'll level him up right at the end here. But we definitely got 2 Warden Towers, which I'm happy with. No, we didn't. We didn't even get a Warden Tower. That's fine. We got another copy. Let's see how high he is.
You're one mistake away.
Skill level 1. So we got 3. My goodness. That wasn't too bad. The fact we got Warden's Tower is good enough for me, though. My goodness, skill level 4 Warden. I did not expect at the end of this video to have a skill level 4 Warden. That's funny. Shackled Hope, really? I have a Shackled Hope on him as well. That's funny. Warden's Tower. Look at it. My goodness. We're going to throw that on Bo Chin and just watch everyone flop around like dead fish. Alrighty. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video. Hopefully my voice is a bit better. I'll see you around.